Nice to see everybody. I just have to turn myself on here. Yes, yes. It was really lying down, but then I asked her to take off a little bit more. You see that switch? There's a switch. The switch. No. Yes, that switch. You can do it. Press the button on the right.
You switch.
Yes.
I switched
And
Oh, I feel something in my back.
yes, well,
I
okay.
can't go beyond that. Maybe I should go to Warsaw.
Pretend you
Have
didn't
a
say
Yes, because here.
There's batting services in a moment.
No, I know people have gone there.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
I don't know of any
You know, when you got two speakers called Samson, that's an amazing thing.
sometimes they went to
Wow.
As I said in my previous engagement, which was over at John Knox, the beauty about being a rabbi is when you come in to start the service, it makes no difference. People chat, people schmooze, people go on.
I think the rabbi's talking to you.
Rabbi Norman should rest in peace. My childhood rabbi, we did not get along. But he thought it would help if he posted a sign at the entrance to the sanctuary, Has Adonai Ya'aleh Mim'on Kadsho. Be silent, the Lord God is aroused in his holy habitation, which accomplished the mission of scaring the heck out of little kids, because they figured that God would appear in the sanctuary like the great and powerful Oz, but that did not happen. All right, as we go clanking towards the end of Breshit of Genesis, this is the climax of the Joseph in Egypt thing, episode, drama. Thomas Mann, the German writer, wrote Joseph in Egypt. Anybody read Joseph? Yeah, that's what I thought. When the Rabbi Emeritus in my first pulpit in Fayetteville, North Carolina, said, well, he was a Yeki. He was a German. Do we know why they were called Yekis? Should I close the door?
I never heard that. Yucky? Yucky or yucky?
Yekis. Because when the
Yucky better.
Jews who were lucky to get out of Germany moved to Israel, they insisted on wearing a heavy tweed wool men's jacket under the burning hot Mediterranean sun. And this was called a yaket. So they were called Yekis. Jacket. Yes, yes. Yes. All right. Well, in this particular episode, as we know, Joseph has been playing cat and mouse with his brethren. And why did the brethren come down to Egypt? Yes, yes. The truth is, there's a book called Before Philosophy by Henri Frankfurt, and I used it when I was in my first year of college. And the essence of the message in terms of Israel versus Egypt is that Egypt has a reliable irrigation system. The Nile River rises once a year. I think it's once a year.
Once a year.
Once a year. You were there. Did you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Was it very risible? Okay. All right. Israel, on the other hand, does not have a regular rainfall. I think we've discussed this before. So there were two remedies. The first one is wait for the Romans, because when the Romans get here, they will make us all pasta, and then they will build an aqueduct to carry water to Jerusalem. And I don't think the aqueduct is still in business. Otherwise, what was your only method for collecting water if it didn't rain? Yes, they dug these monstrous cisterns, okay? There are places where you can go down into the cistern, but don't whisper because the echo is tremendous. But it's very awe-inspiring, really, to be standing there in a cistern that was dug, not personally, by Herod. Do we know about Herod? Herod was the greatest builder Jerusalem has ever had before or since. But he was so paranoid. How paranoid was he? Well, let's do why he got along famously with the Romans. He got along with them because he had grown up as a child. He would play with a great many of the future Roman leaders. So they made him the ethnarch. I always think that'd be a cool thing to be, the ethnarch. Do you know what an ethnarch does? He's in charge of I'm the ethnarch, you must listen to me. Okay, no more of that. No, but he was the ethnarch. He was in charge because the Romans were very big on classifying people according to nationality, religion, lack thereof, and they couldn't figure the Jews out. Absolutely couldn't figure the Jews out. That went back to the Greeks. What happened with the Greeks was that we all know, of course, Alexander the Great conquered the entire known world, which was mostly the Middle East. And the night before, he went to conquer Jerusalem. And this is way back. This is 360-something BCE, give or take a decade. And Alexander had a dream. And in his dream, he dreamt, as we frequently do, he dreamt that an old man with a long white beard appeared to him and said, "Feareth not, Alexander, you will go on to conquer the entire known world." No, you see, I closed it because there are people talking out there. Okay.
Well, the people never come again.
Yes, I know, but once they're in here, they won't be talking. Okay, so that's what Alexander dreamt. And the next morning, his adjutant, his major domo, his orderly gets him up and says, "Your Majesty, the general, if it please you, mount your horse, and we're off to conquer Jerusalem." Now, in those days, the Jews didn't have much of an army, so they really didn't want to fall back on that. So instead, the high priest, an old guy with a long white beard, coincidentally, goes out in front of a little Levitical delegation. Levites are very good at delegations, yes. They walk along and they look very dignified.
Delegate.
Yes, that's true. And there before all of his troops, Alexander, who was not Greek, he was Macedonian, which apparently makes a difference because if it weren't for the Macedonians, we wouldn't have Macedonianites. Anyway, so Alexander gets off his horse and gets down on one knee, and his troops are aghast. And they say, "Your Majesty," they say it much more fancy than this. They say, you don't even know this guy. And he says, "This is the very ethnic, ancient personage that I saw in my dream." So, you see, it's good to have dreams, and it's good not to fight, and good when you don't get conquered. Most of the time, you know, if the bad guy was coming, forget it. You're getting conquered, really. It's going to be a siege, they're going to burn things down, they're going to enslave you. It was really a bad way to spend the afternoon. So, in this case, Alexander does get very chummy with the high priest, and he says, "Well," says Alexander to the high priest, "now that I am your liege lord, you will do the typical Greek thing to do, which is to make a nice statue of me to stand in front of your holy building," which I understand is called the Holy Temple, but I'm a lot holier, so you're going to make that statue. And the high priest says, "Your Majesty, all due respect," love that expression, all due respect. If you say with all due respect, any statement you begin with all due respect, you can say anything you want. You know, with all due respect, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, high priest says, "Your Majesty, with all due respect, we cannot do that. We don't do the graven image thing. But, this is even better," he says. "This year, all the little boys who were born will be named Alexander, and all the little girls who were born will be named Alexandra." Now, I don't know what that did in the preschool situation, because the teacher would go, "Alexander, stop that." And every boy would be guilty. "Alexandra, let's get into the building." So, very strange. Okay, but that's the rest of the Hanukkah story. Now, getting back to this, as far as Egypt is concerned, why didn't Joseph send what my Aunt Anne, let her rest in peace, say, "David, why didn't you send me a postal card?" See, remember postal cards? Remember you're on vacation, you send a nice picture postcard home, or better, you forget to mail them, you take them home, and you mail them from the house. And they say, "What is this? He's in Margate? Who knew?" Okay. So anyway, great vacation spot, Florida. Yes, but we live here. Okay. So Joseph is being the second in command of Egypt. And frankly, the Pharaoh, I'm pretty sure it was Seti the first. Was it Seti the first?
Maybe, I wasn't there.
Yes, but the beauty, Seti the first is yet another Middle Eastern leader named after a piece of furniture. So Seti the first.
That's a stretch.
Bada boom. Seti the first, he's kind of a hands-off guy. And he says, "Joseph, you're a talented fella. I knew that from the moment we took you out of the jail. It would have been good if you showered first." He did. He bathed. He is the first Israelite person in the entire Torah, nay, in the entire Bible, to shave. Is that amazing? Because prior to that, all the Semitic types, you could see them in the hieroglyphics. They're little guys with black beards. Okay, they all look the same. How ironic. Okay, but all the Egyptians were clean shaven. And if you were an Egyptian noble person and they invited you to one of their famous parties with the DJ in the corner and lots of Egyptian food, what do Egyptians eat? What did they eat then?
Similar stuff that Israelis eat.
But they're all vegans. We have evidence. Professor Lichtenstein told me all the Egyptians were vegans. Is that not true, Professor Lichtenstein? All the Egyptians were
I
vegans?
wasn't paying attention.
Big. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what you would do is, of course, your head was shaven, which is the thing. This is the cool way to look if you're Egyptian. So you see, I'm halfway on my way to becoming Egyptian. You take a pile, okay, I didn't make this up. You take a pile of scented wax. You can get that if you want. And you put it on your head, and over the course of the evening, see, he's nodding his head. This is a good thing. I'm finally telling something true. No, this is the MS. You put the scented wax on your head, and over the course of the evening, surrounded by your friends and loved ones, your head gets hot. You have a hot head. And what does the wax do?
Melts.
It melts, and it goes down your face in decorative fashion, and everybody says, boy, do you smell good. You know you have wax on your face? But that's really what they did. What kind of wax? Was it paraffin? Was it animal fat? Something like that. What? Butter. It was butter. Yes. Okay. No, I can't eat dairy. Okay. And then a half hour later, they would have a steak. Okay. So, but the whole question is, he's in Egypt for 22 years, and you could take that to the bank because this is the Chabad. 22 years he's in Egypt. Never once does he send a postal card to the old man and say, "Dear Dad, I'm alive. You'll be surprised. I hope you're sitting down. I got a really nice job in the Egyptian administration. I am #1 on the civil services list." See, I took the civil services test because my old man said, "David, you should take the civil service test because you'll always have a job and New York City will not go bankrupt." The next year, New York City went bankrupt. They never called me. Who knew? It's a big city. The bosses are going. All right. So Joseph was really probably scared. I wrote an essay about this. He's really probably scared that the spies are everywhere. And if he's communicating with the Semites, this is not a good thing. This could shorten his life considerably. We know already from the butler and the baker. Sounds like a British mystery. Did they ever have a British mystery about the butler and the baker? Okay. You know which one gets to live and which one gets to be hanged? Or crucified, we're not sure.
Baker.
Yes, the banker?
No, the baker.
The baker gets, well, it's hanged. If it's execution, they say hanged.
Hanged.
Yes,
He
yes.
also gets hanged.
Yes,
The cup
yes.
maker comes back.
Cupbearer.
Yes, the cupbearer, the cup maker.
Cup maker.
Yes, geh schlag Cup auf in the Wand. How do you say that in Yiddish? Go hit your head against the wall. My mother used to say that. Mom, I'm bored. Go. Very good. Go hit your head against the wall. It'll feel so good when you stop. More priceless advice from my mother. Okay. But at this point we know for a fact that the boyos have come down to Egypt to purchase wheat. Not a single one of them is allergic to gluten. Okay? Gluten allergies. When I was a kid, there was no such thing as gluten allergies. Okay? All right. They also didn't know about attention deficit, but let that go. So Joseph, as I said, plays the cat and mouse game with them. First thing he does is put Judah and Shimon in particular, in jail, in the pokey. Why does he put Shimon in the pokey? Who was it whose idea it was to sell him into... Right.
Came up with the idea to
Right.
throw him in the pit.
Right, yes. And do you know anybody named Shimon? Shimon is a very... Sorry? Shimon Peres. Nobody liked him. They let him rest in peace. He was like the Richard Nixon of Israeli politics. Well, he did get to be prime minister after a while, but they just didn't know which way. You know, some guys, they blow whichever way the wind is going. And, well, anyway, but there was also, when I was a kid, if you had a Jewish name, a Hebrew name, you didn't have a Christian name, as we called it, and your name was Shimon, they would call you Shimmy. And from Shimmy, inevitably, it was becoming Shimmy, Shimmy, Cocoa Bop, Shimmy, Shimmy, Bop. All right. So he put Shimon in jail, and he wants absolutely to see his only full brother, because they're all half-brothers. It's like a big Charles Dickens story. Half-brothers, second cousins, this and that. So he wants to see Benjamin. Benjamin is his baby brother. Benjamin is the final child of which wife?
Rachel.
Right, very good. Rachel, who unfortunately expires, and she didn't name him Benjamin, she named him Ben-Oni, which means son of my affliction, son of my problems. But Jacob changed it to Benjamin, son of my right hand. And he wants to see him. But the boys go back to Canaan, Israel, and they tell the old man, we're not going to get any more wheat unless you let Benjamin come down with us. Plus, we'll have an extra sack, so we'll have more wheat. And Jacob says, no. He says, Joseph is gone, and you want to take Benjamin too? I will go down to Sheol in mourning, which is the only episode of them referring to the afterlife in the entire Torah. Sheol. Do we know about Sheol?
It's like
Holding
supposed
place.
to be the version of hell going down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's on the Upper West Side, but most people don't live there. Sheol is a place of silence. It's not a place with devils and pitchforks. It's not a place of hell, of any sort of punishment. It's like Hades, where the spirits of the dead go flitting around. And I think personally that'd be a very dull way to spend eternity. I so look forward, God willing, that when it's my time I get to go to the Jewish heaven. I don't mind going to the Presbyterian heaven, the Methodist heaven, but just for a visit, okay? I understand with Methodists, when you go to heaven, you have to bring a covered dish. But otherwise, you hang out with some cool people. Moses, all the Moseses. Moses Maimonides, Moshe Rabbeinu, the whole 9 yards. King David, well, maybe I'd stay away from King David. You never know with him. All right, but at this point, they do, Jacob says, I'm really hungry. And say, Papa, if you let us take Benjamin with us, it'll be okay. Well, take Benjamin with you, but please keep him on a short leash, and they go. So they go.
Reuben takes responsibility to bring him back.
Yes, but is Reuven a reliable individual?
He is. That's where I come from. That's
But where
my
does the
tribe.
Torah come from?
I know that Reuben was my...
He had a good heart.
He had a good heart. He loved the animals. He tried to save Joseph. And the only bad thing...
Well, let's back it up. What animals are we talking?
He's the one who didn't want to cross over because he wanted...
Oh, he has the herds and the flocks and the
Right,
sheep
so
and the
I know
goats.
he was from... I know I'm
Yes.
from him. The only
Yes, he's
bad
the
thing
first Jew to work in a petting zoo. Go ahead.
Correct. The only bad thing he did was sleep with his father's concubine.
Yeah, come on, it happens. It's
things
dark. Who knows? What are you going to do? I thought you were my wife. Oh, silly me.
These things happen. That was the only
It happens. Why? It doesn't happen in real life, but except maybe Appalachia. But it happens. I'm sorry.
Take that part out.
This is the X-rated part of the Shabbat service. Yeah, well, okay. Reuven is supposed to be the leader of Israel, but he, not in ways which you have described. We think to him to be a sterling character, but he's not a very effective leader.
Right.
And we're not Reubenites. What are we? Starts with a J and runs with a ooh. Jew, because of Judah. Judah's the one to go. David comes from Judah. Saul comes from Benjamin. Solomon comes from Judah. Judah rocks, really. Not the same way that Reuven rolls, but okay. So Reuven takes responsibility, to which the Torah says azachanve, and he does go down. And Joseph is very happy to see his brother Benjamin, albeit from a distance. And when it's time for the boys to leave, he does give them tons of wheat in their sacks, burlap sacks, mind you. This is long before Tupperware. Would you eat something from a burlap sack? I really wonder about that.
Go hungry if you
You're
didn't.
hungry enough.
I guess so. I think you have to bake it, though. Anyway, what does he do? He gives Benjamin a double portion. Now, what's the, they called it, Alfred Hitchcock used to call it the MacGuffin. The MacGuffin is the thing in the movie.
That they're all after.
Right. Sometimes I saw a Denzel Washington movie once, and the MacGuffin was a floppy disk. That's how old the movie was. Or in any 007 movie, there's got to be a MacGuffin. Okay? So the MacGuffin in this case is the wine cup belonging to none other save Joseph. And Joseph, this is no wine cup you just get off. I'll take that one off the shelf in the Jewish bookstore. No, indeed. It is a special cup because when it's filled up with a special liquid, probably scotch, he's able to tell the future. He sips a little from the cup. He looks into the cup. If you look at the surface of the liquid, you can tell the future. Can you think of any other famous Jews who did this too? Nostradamus, okay, who was a Jewish fellow. Yes, he was. Nostradamus would tell the future by looking into a bowl of water. And when you read his quatrains, whatever he called them, it's fantastic. Not what they say, because they'll say things like, the monkey will be seated on the couch while the lion eats in the kitchen. Oh, that means that there's going to be a revolution in Russia. Clearly. Okay. So back to Joseph. He sees, now what happens if you stash your cup unbeknownst to Benjamin in Benjamin's sack?
It looks like he stole it.
Yes. And immediately he calls up the, the Egyptian mounted police with the funny hats. And they take him, they haul him back to Egypt. And Joseph says, well, the kid shouldn't have laid hands on my cup. And now he's got to stay here and serve me forever. At which point, this week's Torah portion begins. 20 minutes later. Judah! There he is. Judah. Any Judahites? Well, technically, we all belong to the tribe of Judah because the Israelites were all carried off beyond the Tigris and the Euphrates in 722 BCE. Okay, do you want me to recite Lord Byron? Oh, come on, you love Lord Byron. You called me the other night and said, David, you said.
He walked funny.
He did, he couldn't help it, really.
Oh, you have to mess up everybody?
Well, he had a club foot.
You know, right, thank you.
But that's not his leading part. He really was a brilliant guy.
You killed all the
Wasn't he
great
involved
guys.
with his sister?
Yes, he was.
Aw.
But then so was Shelley. It was the thing to do. Between that and Judah, not Judah, Reuben.
Little incest.
The concubine.
Little incest.
Like in the hotel room. Oh, I got the wrong number. Gee, I'm sorry. Well, as long as I'm here, I might as well go shruffy. Okay. So, Judah approaches Joseph, which is a big deal because Joseph's dander is up. And the dander, as you know, is a big deal in Egyptian tradition. And offers himself as a slave. And Joseph can't take it anymore. He's been fooling with the brothers. He's been speaking Egyptian to them. He's bald on top and bald on the chin. And he says, I am Joseph. Does my father yet live? And he bursts into tears. And according to Rashi, here it comes, he cried so loudly. How loudly did he cry? They could hear it throughout the entire palace. And then he switches to Hebrew, which I'm sure made the Egyptians very happy. Oh, they're not, fifth column or anything like that. Don't worry about it. But he says, come on down to Egypt. It's wonderful here. I'll give you your own neighborhood, a place called Goshen. You can't miss it. It's really nice.
It was like the Boca Raton of Egypt. It was such a nice
You're right,
area.
yes. They should have kept walking and ended up in Boca.
Right.
Okay, so don't be ashamed. He says, God prepared the way for me to come down here because he's a very religious Jew. How could he be a religious Jew? He's the only Jew. Even his wife, Osnat, nice girl, very sweet, but she's not Jewish, okay? Because in those days it didn't matter. We didn't have the matrilineal thing. Okay. Say again? Yes, she met a lovely Lakshan couple. She learned it online, really. And they had an Alexa that spoke Hebrew, okay, and chuckled in odd times.
But he never left his Judaic roots. He raised his children. He didn't know he was not, influenced by peer pressure. That was difficult.
Yes.
He was the only one there. And he kept going.
Mm-hmm.
That was amazing.
He started a little shul. He used to have, no, he didn't have anybody.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is why it was harder.
Say again?
They say, "B'tzit
Yes. Beit Yaakov Me'am Loes. All right, well, we're not doing that this Shabbos. He sends a message, and Jacob is in shock, obviously. It's not hard with his... It's a strange family. They're very Jewish. They're totally dysfunctional. They don't speak to each other. The only reason they get together is because people want a piece of bread. Okay. So, Jacob is very nervous about this, and he says, I can't leave Israel to go down to Egypt. And the boys say, Pop, there's no food here. Everything's gone. We ate everything. He says, I love this. There's no food, but when you go down, bring some dates, bring some nuts, bring some figs. That's all the Jews have is dried fruit. All right? It's very odd. Okay? And God does tell him this. Fear not to go down to Egypt. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to take you out. Give or take 400 years, but hey, who counts? And they settle in Goshen. And the children of Israel prosper in their Egyptian exile. which teaches us what?
I wanna live in America. What's new? Germany, but the same thing.
Yeah.
In every place, the same thing. They were prosperous.
Yes.
In Turkey.
Oh, so that's it? So we're doomed? We're next? I hope not.
We like to be.
We've always believed, okay, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but we've always believed America is different. And I still think America is different. I think America has been very welcoming to its Jewish citizens. We are in all walks of life. We are the spice of civilization. I like to say that down here, if you have places like a theater center, if you have a symphony orchestra, if you have ballet, all of these things, it's culture. Now, granted, the veneer of civilization, of culture, is very thin, but I believe that that does represent the Jewish people. Okay? So, anyway. All right, well, tomorrow I have 19 great Jewish sayings, and I'm going to use that as an intro. We're going to do the section on Jewish happiness, how Jews can be happy. Okay? Yes. Are you
That
happy?
goes against the principle of suffering.
See, this is what I get.
How long is it?
What about the principle of suffering?
There's the line I always do. It's probably a Neil Simon movie where Sheldon graduates from college, and of course he doesn't move out. He stays with mommy and daddy because the refrigerator is always full and they don't charge him rent. And they go, Sheldon, what are you going to do with your life? What do you want, Sheldon? He says, what do I want? He says, I want to be happy. And they go, happy? Happy? He says, yeah, I want to be happy, Ma. I want to be happy like you and Pop. Happy? Happy? We're not happy. Sheldon, don't go looking for happiness. It'll only make you miserable. We're content. Content is good. Okay, Shabbat Shalom. Let's light candles. All right, Sherry, do you want to light candles? Yes,
Okay.
I'll check in. Okay, good job. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Wave our hands, bring in Shabbat. Cover our eyes. Looking around, we see friends, we see family. We're going to make Shechayanu. This is our first official Shabbat of the new year.
Galia once carried that she was getting presents every day. Okay, Shabbat Shalom, page number 13. Shalom Aleichem, Aleichem Asharim, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Malchei Olakim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Malachim Shalom, Malachim Shalom, Malachim Elyon, Mimelech, Malachim Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yalai, 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 Shalom, Malachim Shalom, Malachim Elyon, Mimelech, Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzadikim Shalom, Malachim Shalom, Malachim Elyon, Mimelech, Malachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Next page at the bottom. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Yismechu Hashamayim. Okay, page 21. Amazing how much mileage you get out of 4 words. And if you do it more classical, I can do
It's okay,
more.
it's all right.
Lekal Nigrad Kala, Venei Shabbat Mekamela, Lekal Nigrad Kala, Venei Shabbat Mekamela, la Lekal Nigrad Kala, Venei Shabbat Mekamela, Lekal Nigrad Kala. Shamor v'samor v'elivurecha Yishmeyanu echad Adonai echad Shemo echad V'shemu letiferet
לקראת שבת לכו אליך, כי מאורה וברכה, מראש תקדם לסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבת כי לה 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 לקראת אותי, לקראת כלה, לקראת אותי, לקראת כלה, בני שבת
22 last year.
ושלום התבלה, גם בשמחה ובצורה, תורנו ויבששורה, בואי קלה, בואי קלה,
Yes. I'm not die. Somebody said to me, Rabbi, I can't sing die.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to lie either.
That's true. Okay, all right. Let's see. Would you folks honor us by Dr. Gilbert and Dr. Gilbert? I think that the call will be a good song.
Oh.
Change the names. No, if you just fold it over. And the inside curtain, it's a manual. Any direction, your hands are around.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר בדברו בני ברבים בחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה משנה עתים ומחלים את הזמנים ומצד את הכוכבים במשמורותיהם הרקיע כרצונו כל יום בלילה גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיימת ונמלוך עלינו לעולם הבא Baruch atah Adonai, Amari Barami.
All right, continuing on page 29.
Avat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot u'chim u'mishpatim, otanu limadta. להסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Okay, before we do the Shema, could we hold the place on 30 and turn way in the back to 362. It's a wintertime reading, which is hardly appropriate for Florida, but a lot of us come from colder climes, so we'll make a little. 362 at the bottom. Okay. All right, the tree knows. Okay, we'll do this together. Naked and lonely, bereaved of her children, the brood of green foliage. Tree stands in the winter cold, shaking in the wind. She bears witness to her faith that the world will green again. The storm ends her, but she remains rooted in the spot where God or man stationed her. She knows through the wisdom imbibed in her flesh that storms recede, that spring returns, that her hard limbs will grow soft again at the touch of a warmer sun, and the crown of new foliage will mark the renewal of her life. That's kind of nice.
Rabbi, this Rabbi Boxer from Forest Hills?
You bet he is.
Yes.
Ben Buxer. Yes.
Very good.
You know what Buxer is? Do we know what Buxer is? They also call it St. John's bread, but not in this building. It's carob. They used to give this out on Tu B'Shvat. They would give us brown paper bags with nuts and dates and figs and a chunk of Buxer.
Yeah.
And you could chew on that for the rest of your life. It didn't matter. And it got this horrible smell.
Yeah.
We got Hershey
And we said, why are we doing this? They said, because we're Jewish. Yes.
And we're not happy.
Supposed to suffer from when you're young.
That's because it's a happy holiday. All right, you never heard of Buxer? But you know carob. The carob is a chocolate substance.
It's a very nice.
Well, I had Jews named Boxer, B-O-X-E-R.
No, no.
Yeah.
I've never heard of the other one.
I'm sorry, Donna, what?
That writing, that poem,
Yes.
reminds me of Treblinka, because it's all, they're just stones there now, there's no remnants of the camp, but there are these huge trees, and there's a path that you can walk through, and it's the trees, and when I go there, I always think, what did the trees see?
Yeah,
What did the trees see, because they're so tall,
yeah,
and they've been there so long, and they were witness to this.
yeah. Yeah, it was a story of, I think it was Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman was traveling, and I don't know, a coach, a wagon, who knows. But he got to a certain part of the woods, and his disciples said, Rebbe, we're going to stay here tonight, we'll just sleep in the wagon. And he got such a negative vibe from that area, and he said, we have to get out of here. And it turns out that was Auschwitz.
Turns out it was what?
Auschwitz. I'm sorry, I shouldn't bring that into Shabbat. Okay, always, see, I wanted to be happy, but, okay, let's go. Tomorrow we'll be happy. We'll analyze happiness. Put it under the microscope. I'm going to ask the Chazan. The Chazan is the most patient of men. I want him to do the Shema, because nobody Shemas like he Shemas. So, Shema.
Let's do together, close your eyes. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל
the top paragraph on 31.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, הייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, ולכל סוד מקיים עמנו.
32.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל הכנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נהדר בקודש לעולם ועילות עושה מלכותך רבו בליך בוקר ים לבני משה סליאנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך ונאמן כיף אדוני יעקב גאלו בידך זהג ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Okay, as always, top left 33, the section of davening where we will mention the names of those we know in need of Refu'ahShelemah, quick and speedy recovery. Thinking about Howard Shulman, Refu'ahShelemah, Howard E. Lackman, Refu'ahShelemah. All right, starting over here, nobody? Yes, sir.
Doris Stoll.
Refu'ahShelemah.
Yisura Bas Bracha Bas Yaga.
Refu'ahShelemah. Yes.
Lua Bas Yanko, Bas Lisa, and Hope Quinn.
Refu'ahShelemah.
Carolina Klein.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay? Yes.
Larry Bland,
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. Yes.
Marla Ross, Dean, and Ed Packer.
Refu'ahShelemah. Yes, sir.
Army Group and Waterfire.
Okay, yes.
Stacy Boucher,
Refu'ahShelemah.
and Janet Livingston.
Refu'ahShelemah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. This is good. Yes.
Perkats,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Marsha Goodhart,
Refu'ahShelemah.
Lola,
Refu'ahShelemah.
and those in Muncie that are recovering.
Right. Yes. Refu'ahShelemah.
Bruce Martin.
Refu'ahShelemah.
Art Olson.
Refu'ahShelemah. James Vasnation. All right, let's read together the top left-hand paragraph. We're also thinking about our brave troops, in particular the 750 members of the 82nd Airborne Division in my town of my first pulpit faith from North Carolina. They're on their way to Iraq to join the 100 Marines who are already there. So we pray for their safety. Let's read together, and our brothers and sisters in the embattled state of Israel. Help us, Adonai, to lie down in peace, good counsel. Save us because of your mercy. Shield us from enemies and pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, O God, who watches over us and delivers us. Our gracious and merciful ruler, guard our coming and our going. Grant us life and peace, now and always. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Praise you, Adonai, who spreads the shelter of peace over us, over all his people Israel, over Jerusalem and the entire world. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, baruch atah Adonai, borei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim, v'al kol ha'olam kulo. Amen. 34 is the V'shamru. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael le'kat Shabbat, asot et Shabbat le'dorotam berit olam.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ואני אומר בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת בנפש, שבת בנפש, שבת בנפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Please rise, have Kaddish, bottom of 34.
עניינה על בהתקדש השם רבה.
Amen.
ועלמא דיברה כאילו וימליך מלכותי. לך יום אחד וחיי לכל בית ישראל. פעלה ובזמן קריב בינו בהתפאר ובהתרומם, בהתנשא בהתהדר, בהתהלל בהתהלל, שמי קודשם להביא כל ברכתה ושירתה, תוש ברכתה ונקמתה, תמיד
Yamidah 35b to 38, after which you may be seated.
אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
48.
Yidgalarvit kadashem rabam. Yarma libra kilude mi amlik mal kude me kaye kore mi amlik kore me kaye kore di Israel. Lagaravit mangani veim ra. Yegesh veira vavimora. Olam garom maya. In parakvish tabak mikpar midra midra sevitar vidar vidar shubek udesha. Lavini kolvini kata beshirata dushu kata belikmata miramel mameim bro. Yitkaver etzelotono de kol Israel kada mamod nishmaya meim bro. Yegesh lamara bamishmaya mekaim aleinu el kol Israel meim bro. Ose shalom bilroma, yase shalom aleinu el kol Israel el kol yoshvei tevel yiveru. Shalom Libroma, Yase Shalom Aleinu, Li'akol Yisrael, Li'akol Yoshvei Tevel, Yimeru
All right, we have the Kiddush on page 49. Charge your coats.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, orech v'yirafeh. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yesharo mitzvotav v'matzavanu, Shabbat kosher. Next will be on page number 51. Aleinu.
Oh, I? Me? Oh, yes, open the ark. Al, would you like to open the ark, please?
Aleinu leshabeach Adon Hakol, V'yelda leYosef Bereshit, Shelo Asamon Kedoyeh Gavasot, Ve'lo Samon Mishmechot Adama, Shelo Samon Kedoyeh Lukahem,
not saying mourner's Kaddish, you may be seated. We're on 52 of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadam, Yitkadash, Ne'rava, Amen. Yalvadi, Rakute, Yalid, Malute, L'chaye Chol, Me'echol, L'chaye D'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'garav, Zman, Bariv, Yimru, Amen. Yehi Shmei, Rahman, Barach, Yalav, Yiparach, Yishach, Yipa'ar, Yitromam, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalam, Shmei, Shabrichu, Li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechmata, Tamiran v'yalma v'yimru, Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya, Chaim Aleinu v'yam Kol Yisrael v'yimru, Amen. Oseh Shalom b'molav, Uyaseh Shalom, Aleinu v'yam Kol Yisrael v'yam Kol Yishvei Tevel v'yimru, Amen. All right, and now some well-chosen words by our temple president, Fleming Klein. After which Cantor Solomon has Dios will favor us with you.
Good Shabbos, everyone. I want to thank you all for the most successful Hanukkah event that we have ever had. It was amazing. You were all amazing. And I want to give special thanks to Dr. Sharon Gilbert, who played us in for our first musical Shabbat.
But hopefully not the
Not the last. Not the last. And it was, there will be other, oh yeah. So I thank you Sharon, so very much.
Cantor, he was the one
Well,
who.
Cantor is, he's just fabulous. What are you going to say? What can we say? He's just amazing. He's just amazing. Another amazing thing is going to be this Sunday at 3 o'clock. Dr. Murray Lichtenstein, Part 2, Words. Paroles? Paroles. Words.
Italian, because I know Italian.
Oh, that's yeah.
Any more languages? English.
And paroles. In every language, come on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Be with us to listen to our wonderful Dr. Lichtenstein, his lectures, which I hate to call them lectures. They're just wonderful happenings, and we learn an awful lot, and we have a really good time learning. Tomorrow, after a more traditional service, Rabbi has his class on happiness, more happiness. Please show up. Yeah, please show up. And all of you who are watching at home, a good Shabbos to you. And you can come too. All the classes and events are here for you as well. Just come to our beautiful bronze doors, and we will let you in very happily and welcome you into our temple family. Our regular schedule of minions on Monday and Thursday mornings at 8:45. Very important to keep that going. This Wednesday there'll be no classes. Right. Because there won't be, just for this Wednesday. But the next Wednesday we'll have a full schedule. Thursday morning, 10:30, Tai Chi with Gail Brubaker. We already have a core of students, and we need more. It's really going quite well, but it could go much weller with more people. So please do come. It's really a lovely way to get some flexibility into your life, and to also to restore some inner peace. It's really quite amazing. I hope you will take advantage of it. On January 18th, Saturday, January 18th, you are all invited to a special kiddush welcoming back our snowbirds and welcoming all of our new members. So please come and celebrate these wonderful, wonderful people who are such an integral part of Temple Shalom family. On January 26th, we are doing a food packing event for Federation and for the cupboard. If you want to participate, it's a very worthwhile thing to do. Please let Joni and I know on Monday, because we need to register you online. It's a requirement of Federation. So if you'd like to come and help and feed the needy among us, please do. It's going to be at 9 in the morning. I have brochures. There's actually brochures out in the lobby on that lovely wooden console. So, but please let us know. The more we participate, the happier Federation is with us, and the happier we are with Federation, and the more ingrained we become in the bigger Jewish community, and we want this very much.
I just want to say we did it, Nancy and I did it when it was at Bat Yam or
Right.
one of the other temples.
Right.
It's such a nice way to
Yes.
spend an hour and a half. They make it fun,
Mhm.
and will make it fun.
Mhm.
They compete with who gets the most packages done
Right,
fast.
right.
We were racing,
Right.
and it's just a nice thing
We
to do.
also have, we've already gotten volunteers to be table captains, which we were asked to do, but we do need the names so that we can call that in and make a very good showing for Temple Shalom. I'll let you know about February as it gets closer, but a sweet and good Shabbat.
I just want to make one observation. I want to thank Rita, of course, she's wonderful. But while synagogues very often become storehouses of Jewish paraphernalia. And there have been plenty of articles online about how 2019 wasn't so wonderful for humanity in general. But then, God sends us signs. And I just want to show you this one. Here in this building, when we start with Rosh Hashanah, we wind up with Hanukkah. It's good. It's a good thing. Here it was a good year. So I hope, wishing you all a best of years as we approach the secular year. Thank you very much.
Amen.
Okay, Chazan.
Adon Olam, page number 54.
I will sing Abraham the Torah, which I've done for you before. It's from the beginning of the 19th century, Adon Olam. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol Yitzir Nibra, Le'ed Nasa, Kechetz Okol, Azai Melech Shemo Nikra, V'achareh Kichlot HaKol Levado Imloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Yeh B'tifara V'hu Echad V'en Sheni L'ham Shiloh L'achbira B'li Reshit B'li Tachlit V'lo Amohu וחי גואלי בצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי בנת כוסי ביום אקרא בידו אפקד רוחי בנתי שם ואני רע ונים רוחי גביעתי אדוני לב לא ירא אדוני לי ולא ירא תקובל ברחמים וברצון את תפילתנו.
Amen. Okay, magnificent. Please rise. Please rise for the closing benediction.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May the Lord bless you and keep you.
יאיר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
May the Lord make his face shine unto you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
May the Lord turn his face unto you and grant you peace. We'll say Amen.
אמן, יישר כוח. שבת שלום. היי, שבת שלום.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.